Hello everyone, welcome to Anchor Point Passions. I'm Sarah Sherman, and today we're going to be talking about how to journal for archery. So right now you're probably thinking, why would I journal for archery in the first place? Because I can shoot really well without journaling, so what's the big deal? There's a real big importance on journaling for archery because you can then record what you did that day so you don't forget about it. So let's say I consistently shoot left for whatever reason and I don't understand why I'm shooting left. All my arrows are going into the 8. But then I find out that it's because I'm torquing my hand as I'm trying to shoot the bow, and I record that down now into my journal. Let's just say a couple weeks later, the problem comes back, but I forget how to solve the problem. I can go back in my journal, look for the day that I recorded that answer to that problem, and then all of a sudden, now I know how to fix the problem that I'm dealing with. Now, another reason why journaling for archery is really great is because then you can track your scores and you can see how you've improved, or maybe even how you're declining, and that how you need to work more to get towards the scores that you want. So without further ado, I will now show you how I journal for archery. This is the spread for the indoor target. As you'll see, a lot of the journals that I have pretty much follow this page. They'll just change on this side. Please just don't judge my drawing because I'm not the best of drawers, but it gets the point across when you're looking at what you need to look at. So on the first page, what I have written down here is I have gone to see the date, the location, and what I also think is interesting that I've logged here is the bow type, the target type, and the season type. So I shoot many different types of bow types, and that's because on my own, I shoot in a competition open setup, but in college, I actually shoot bow hunter. So when I write down the bow type that I've shot, then this lets me know around what scores I should be shooting, so I can base this off of that bow type. Target type is basically for like indoor, it's either vertical or a Vegas 3. Or you could also do the 5 spot, so that would be here. And then the season would be like indoor, outdoor, 3D. Then I also have, is this practice or in a competition, which this was practice. And then these two categories, they may seem the same because this one is what will I focus on today? And this one is what I should work on. And this one I have, it's a little like analysis of what I want to work on before I start shooting. So before I start shooting, I said that I wanted to practice and get my bow ready for competition. So this is my analysis of what I thought of the score after I've shot, because sometimes these can change based upon how you shot and what you've learned from shooting that day. So that's what goes into this section. This section is what am I proud of or excited about, because I know at least for me, I can get really critical in these sections. Not being negative, because you never want to be negative about yourself in these journal entries, but always focusing on something good and having a good takeaway can make you feel a lot better about how you shot a certain day. Finally, the goals. This is really a good section because this lays out exactly what goal you had that day or after you're done shooting, and then you can list those there. So we're gonna go over to the next section, which is the scoring section. So for this, I have laid out a 20 arrow round. Each round I have put it into a different color because then those arrows will be scored onto the target. So this was my first round and this was my second round. And then I also have this mental section. In the mental, this is really, really important because this is exactly how much thought I put into each round. So let's just say for this round, like these aren't accurate for the day that I shot. I just kind of wrote them down so you could see what I was doing here. So let's just say for this end, I was 70% into the game, and that's why I shot these 210s and not 3X. So next is the target section, and I would label these targets in the order that you shoot them. So I shoot them 1, 2, 3. You might shoot them different. I would just label them exactly what order you shoot them in, so you know that this was the first target you shot, this was the second target, and this was the third. And after each arrow that you track up here, you would then track where it was hit on the target here. All right, and then at the very, very bottom, we have here totals. So I did my first end total, second end total, and then the combined total for what I shot that day. On this side, what I did was I totaled up my mental game. So to do this is all based on averages. So all I did was I added up all of these scores, and then I divided them by 10 to get my average mental score. So here you can see my average mental score was a 74.1%. Then I just put down, just because this round was better, I didn't actually track my mental score on this side, but I wrote down here so you could kind of see where I'm going with the combined total. So let's just say that 85%, that's how much mental effort I put into the second end. So then a combined total down at the bottom, I just, like before, I add these up, divide it by 2, and then I can get my average for down here. And then this is kind of like the average mental effort that I put into this day. So this is really good to keep track of, because if you shot a really good one day and you put a lot of mental effort into it, then you can see exactly how much effort you put into your shots on a given day. And if one day you didn't put a lot of mental effort in and you didn't shoot well, then you can see exactly why that is. So here we have the 5-spot targets. So to show you how I did this, I just drew out my 5-spot. They're not very proportionate, as you can see, but it gets the point across. But I would definitely number these in the order that you shot them so that you can look back easily and say, oh, I shot this target first. As I go on shooting, my arrows spread out more and more. So that's a cool way to see how exactly you're doing on each shot. And if you may need to take a little bit more time like me and shoot, take my time with my shot so that they don't scatter out as I go along. And then up at the top, you can see that I have the 6 ends and 6 ends. And I track each arrow, and then I go down here for a total of that end. I track each arrow down here and a total for that end, and then I do my combined total, so that was a 343. Then I also have my mental game, as you've seen before, put that down here, and the total for that end, and then I would do another mental game here for this end. I'd put the total down here, and then I'd put the combined total at the bottom beneath them. So it's just the same, you just track your arrows exactly how you shot them, and so you can see your performance. This is the template for outdoor archery that I have done. The only thing that has changed on this page is that I have a weather section, because this is really important in outdoor archery, is the weather conditions that you're shooting in. So you know that if you did really well on a calm day, but it was a little windy and you shot worse, then you know exactly why. It's probably because of the wind, and you need to learn how to adjust or shoot stronger shots in the wind. So for the outdoor target, or the 50-meter target, I just have my scores totaled here, as you can see, and I just have my end total and my complete total. And then I'd write down my mental game here, and then I'd track my scores in here. Now, the time that I tracked these, I actually didn't track where my arrows went. Bad. But you would track them down on this target. Also, no judging my drawing. Finally, which is the one that I think is really interesting, is the 3D archery. I have the weather section down here because that also affects how you do in 3D archery. So here's how I laid out the 3D archery. Now, to do this and get all 20 targets on here, you're gonna have to write a little small, because as you see, I wrote a little big on this side, and then I had to cram the other targets up here. So if I were to just draw these a little bit smaller, I probably would have been able to fit these all going down the page. Basically what I did for each is you don't need to see exactly what animal you're shooting. You can just write down the, like if you shot at 10, I just have the 10 circle, the upper 12, the lower 12, and then the 14, I put that in there too. And then as I am looking at this, I see that I have actually drawn the upper and the lower 12 backwards. They do not move, they do not go towards the 14, they actually go away. So the correct position for these would actually be the upper 12 would be here, and the lower 12 would be here. So you can like cancel these out. Just know that this is the correct style for an ASA 3D target. Anyway, so what I did here was I tracked exactly where my arrow went. Then I put down what animal I shot, the distance of the animal, what score I got onto the animal, and then whatever notes I have on aiming, because I shoot most of my 3D archery for collegiate. So that means that I will be shooting this as a bow hunter. With a bow hunter, you have your fixed pins, you can't move your sight. So all of my notes on aiming, like let's say I was at a 23-yard target and I used my 20-yard pin, then I could put that down here and see exactly how I scored by doing that. So I just went through each section, kind of filled them out. Like right here, I shot, let's say, a brown bear, wolf, black bear, chamois, lynx, alert deer. This is just how I laid this out. I think this is really cool. If you're shooting unknown and you don't know the distance, then what I would do here for under the distance section, I'd put guessed and then actual, so you can see exactly how well you guessed it, what the actual distance was, and then what your score was based upon that. So guys, if you liked my video, please give it a like. If you want to see more, click the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified exactly when those videos come out, click the bell button right beside the subscribe, and that'll notify you exactly when they come out. So if you're one of those people that if you want to be like the first person that watches the video, then click the bell and you will be notified. Alright, other than that, I hope you guys have a great day journaling your archery scores, and I will see you next time.